how have you been lately? Grabbed a bowl of something warm yet? Or maybe just looking for a little comfort today? Well, you're in the right place. Because today's story is about how one bowl of soup, yes, soup, accidentally thrown at a billionaire's gate led to something far more powerful than either of them expected. So take a breath, settle in, and let's see how laughter, chaos, and one persistent heart turned a lonely life into a love story. Maya Bennett, a clumsy, cheerful freelance painter with an open heart, had just moved into a tiny house next to the grand estate of someone the whole neighborhood whispered about, Julian Mercer. Once a powerful tech billionaire, Julian now lived like a ghost behind a tall black iron gate, and gardens nobody dared to approach. But Maya wasn't like everyone else. Fear wasn't in her vocabulary, and neither was give up. On her first day in the neighborhood, she decided to make a warm bowl of chicken soup for the mysterious neighbor next door. A dish she was extremely confident in, having only burnt it 3 times before. Carrying a steaming bowl of soup and wearing frayed slippers, Maya stepped up to house number 12, flashing her most radiant smile, but just as she reached the rain-slicked step, she slipped. Oh my gosh! The soup flew into the air like a slow-motion scene from an action movie. It splattered all over the gate, dripping onto the stone floor. One of her slippers somehow launched itself into the security camera above the door. The gate swung open immediately. Standing there was Julian Mercer, salt and pepper hair, a crisp white shirt, and eyes sharp enough to cut glass. "What exactly did you just throw at my house?" His voice was calm, but his tone sliced like a knife. Maya stood frozen, one slipper on, soup in her hair, still holding the spoon, and smiled sheepishly. Hi, I'm your new neighbor, and that used to be chicken soup." After the flying soup and rogue slipper incident, Maya was convinced Julian would sue her for assaulting private property. But aside from a killer glare and a door slammed with surgical precision, he didn't say another word. That only made Maya more curious. She asked around the neighborhood. Everyone had a wild story about Julian Mercer, a self-made tech billionaire who once graced the cover of Forbes but vanished from the public eye 5 years ago. He sold his shares, disappeared from headlines, and now lived like a rich recluse. No friends, no visitors, no warmth. "He hates people," whispered old Mrs. Linda from across the street, "like the entire species." Maya just shrugged. "Good thing I'm not exactly people." And thus began her make friends with the hermit mission. She baked cookies, burnt, of course. She packed them in a paper box and stuck a note on top. "A little charred but edible, I swear. Maya, no 10. She left it by his gate. No knocking, no name in bold, just a silent offering. The next morning, the box was gone. "He ate them," Maya cheered. "Mr. Grumpy has taste buds." Later that day, she found the empty box placed neatly at her doorstep with a scribbled note inside. "Burnt, hopeless." Maya laughed so hard she almost dropped her teacup. Thus began a ridiculous but oddly delightful note war. She sent cold tea. He replied, "Drank it just to avoid hearing your voice." She sent lemonade to match your sour personality. He returned the empty cup, sour like you, no surprise. Neither would admit it, but every time a new gift appeared, Julian was already at the door before sunrise. And Maya? She spent each night planning her next move. To the world, Julian was still the unapproachable billionaire, but to Maya, he was starting to look a lot like a grumpy cat caught in a game he secretly didn't want to escape. The note exchanges between Maya and Julian had turned into a daily ritual. No more burnt cookies. This time, Maya attempted sweet cupcakes. Unfortunately, they came out looking unfortunate. She packed them in a cute paper box and added a note. "Weird shape, decent taste. Just like you." Maya. Same routine, no doorbell, no waiting, drop and dash. By morning, the box was gone as usual, but by afternoon it was back, empty, with a note inside. "Edible, as ugly as you." Maya laughed so hard she fell off her chair. "He's trolling me back." Determined not to lose, she sent him a packet of gummy bears with the note. Sweet, like me, eat these to fix that attitude. Julian returned the empty wrapper with, I ate them so I wouldn't have to hear another one of your antics. Then came salty crackers. Then a bottle of carrot juice labeled, for brighter vision and a softer soul. He returned the empty glass. Tastes like your poetry, bland and confused. Somehow, the war turned into something tender. From strangers, they became two souls bantering with snacks and scribbles. Maya started spending hours crafting the perfect note, witty, sharp, but laced with charm. She even practiced her handwriting, noticing Julian's was always neat and cold, like a lawyer's. One day, she sent a single cupcake with the note. Smile once, the world doesn't hate you as much as you think. That afternoon, no note came back, but Maya's home security camera caught something else. Julian holding the cupcake, reading the note, and, just for a second, his lips twitched into a faint smile. His first smile, small, but real. That night, Maya didn't send anything. She just sat by her window, hugging a pillow and grinning. I lost that round, and I'm glad I did. That morning, Maya woke earlier than usual. She made tea, placed her handmade and adorably misshapen heart cookie into a little box, ready to launch another food bomb at house number 12. But as she stepped onto her porch, she froze. Through the light drizzle in the backyard of the grand estate, Julian was collapsed on the grass. No open door, no one nearby. Just him lying on his side, clutching his chest. His white shirt stained with dirt, hair soaked and matted. The sight struck cold fear into Maya's chest. Julian? Without thinking, she tossed the box aside, leapt over the low fence and ran barefoot across the muddy yard. Her slipper slipped. She stumbled, scrambled up, and raced to him. Please wake up, you can't die here. I don't even know CPR. He didn't stir. His skin was cold, lips pale, breath fading. Shaking, Maya pulled out her phone, fingers trembling. 911. Please send an ambulance to 12 Southridge. A man's collapsed in his yard. No, it's not the cookie's fault. I swear. She bent down, trying to drag him under the overhang to get him out of the rain. But he was heavy. In the struggle, Julian's glasses slipped off and slid into the nearby storm drain. Oh, no, 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 she cried. I dropped your glasses too. I'm so sorry. With one final effort, she managed to pull him under the porch edge, his head resting on her soaked slipper. Rain poured. Her hair clung to her cheeks, shirt soaked through. When the ambulance arrived, Maya screamed, He's not okay. I don't know what happened. I'm just the neighbor. I know nothing about medical stuff. At the hospital, she stood outside the emergency room, still clutching her soaked slippers, curls sticking to her cheeks. A doctor emerged, face grim. He has terminal liver cancer, congenital heart condition too. He's refused a transplant. We're stabilizing him now. Maya went still. She thought of the notes, the twitch of a smile, the man who shut out the world, not because he hated it, but because he feared too much, feared pain, feared letting someone close. She waited for hours in the hard plastic chair, hugging her dripping slippers, eyes fixed on the ICU door. When she was finally allowed in, Julian was still unconscious. Machines beeped softly. Maya sat beside him, holding his hand tightly. You idiot. I was about to give you heart-shaped disaster cookies. Now who's gonna eat them? No reply, but she stayed, because now she knew she wasn't going anywhere. When Julian finally opened his eyes later that night, his gaze found Maya still sitting beside him, dozing off, slippers still soaked from the rain. You dropped my glasses, he muttered, voice scratchy but dry. Maya jerked awake, blinking. I did. They fell into the storm drain. I swear I'll buy you 10 new pairs, designer ones, or waterproof. Julian managed the faintest smile. Just get ones that come with Maya-proof insurance. She grinned, clutching his hand. Deal, but you're not getting out of those cookies that easily. Julian stayed in the hospital for 3 days. Maya visited each afternoon, bringing cold soup, comic books, or silly doodles she drew with markers. Julian rarely spoke, just listened. But every time she walked in, his heart monitor seemed to tick just a little faster. The nurses noticed, too. "He seems better when you're around," they said. When Julian returned home, the sun was out. Maya was already waiting, with a shovel, a packet of wildflower seeds, and a blaze in her eyes. "Come garden with me. I've decided your front lawn is as depressing as a quarterly earnings report." Julian squinted. "I don't know how to garden." "You just dig, I'll handle the rest." With a sigh, he took the shovel like he was signing off on a risky merger. Maya pointed to the patch of grass. "Dig right here, deep enough. We're planting daisies." Julian leaned in, scooped the soil a few times, went whoosh. A geyser of water shot up like a fire hose, soaking him head to toe. Maya gasped. "Oh no, you hit the pipe!" Julian stood frozen, drenched. Maya rushed to shut off the valve, slipped in the mud and tumbled, dragging Julian down with her into a muddy heap. They lay there, panting, soaked, a disaster zone of grass, water, and laughter. Julian groaned. "Are you trying to kill me after saving me?" Maya laughed uncontrollably, mud and tears blurring together. "I just wanted flowers." He looked at her, hair matted, face smeared, but laughing like a child. Then, unbelievably, Julian laughed too, a deep, full-bodied laugh. "You're a walking disaster." "I know," Maya beamed, "but I'm your disaster." After that soaking mess, they mopped the floors, chased Pixel the cat off the counter, and sat on the porch, eating Maya's burnt cookies, swapping embarrassing stories. Julian shared how a journalist once called him a sexy billionaire, and he'd awkwardly replied, "Was that harassment?" Maya told the tale of starting a fire by lighting scented candles that smelled like butter. The laughter stitched one day to the next. Julian was still sick, but no longer hiding. For the first time, he wasn't just alive. He was living. 3 days after the fire hydrant incident, Maya showed up at Julian's door with a box of freshly baked gingerbread cookies. This time, they were shaped like cartoon monsters, with crooked eyes and lopsided mouths. She knocked as usual, shouting, "Julian, come get your cookies. I made them look like you, ugly and all." The door opened, but Julian didn't smile, didn't frown, no witty comeback. He stood there, visibly thinner, eyes sunken, one hand trembling slightly against the frame. "You brought more stuff?" he asked, voice low and raspy. Maya smiled softly, holding up the box. "If you don't take them, I'll eat the whole thing. Don't blame me for being greedy." But Julian didn't reach. Instead, he looked at her with a strange gaze, as if pushing her away with his eyes alone. "Listen," he said, barely above a whisper. "Stop wasting your energy on me. I don't need anyone. No one could stand you for long. You're loud, ridiculous, clumsy. Go bother someone else." His words hit like cold steel. Maya froze, the box tipping in her hands. "What did you just say?" she asked, voice cracking in disbelief. "I said, leave. I'm dying, Maya. You sticking around just makes it worse." He turned and closed the door. Not a slam, but it felt like a wall being sealed. Maya didn't cry. She wasn't built for that, but her chest felt unbearably heavy. That night, she scribbled a note, quick, messy, and stuck it to Julian's door. "Fine, I'm leaving. But when you miss me, don't cry. Your face is ugly enough." She knocked once, then walked away. Her windows stayed shut. No music, no sweets, no laughter. But deep down she thought, "All right, Julian, push me away if you must, but if you regret it, next time I'll bring cookies twice as ugly." 3 days after Julian had pushed her away, Maya stayed indoors. She pretended to be busy cleaning the fridge, doodling nonsense, replaying old playlists. But every time she glanced at the window next door, her chest tightened. That morning, the sky was clear, the breeze soft. Maya woke up early, not to write a note, not to tease, but to cook chicken soup again, the very first dish that once flew into Julian's gate. But this time, she followed the recipe. Every pinch of salt, every carrot slice, she measured, stirred, and tasted with unusual care. When the broth began to simmer, her kitchen filled with a warm, gentle scent. "This time, I won't spill it," she told herself. She ladled the soup into a bowl, sealed the lid, and walked out with a fragile thread of hope. He'll forgive me. He'll eat every drop. She knocked on Julian's door, softly this time. "Julian," she called gently, "I finished it. The first soup I've made without burning it. No spills, no flying shoes. I swear." No reply. She frowned, tried the doorknob. It wasn't locked. Inside, Julian was on the couch, as if asleep, one hand resting on his chest, his head tilted slightly. His face was more peaceful than she'd ever seen it. On the side table lay a familiar yellow sticky note. Maya set the soup down, her fingers trembling as she picked up the note. "Thanks for asking if I'm crazy. Funny thing is, I'm not, just tired. Julian." She bit her lip, tears slipping down her cheeks. She sat beside him, whispered like a soft apology. I didn't spill it this time, see, it's perfect." But Julian could no longer answer. Julian passed away quietly, no hospital machines, no final goodbyes, just Maya, a bowl of still warm soup, and one handwritten note. Grief lingered quietly, like steam from a soup left untouched. Weeks later, Maya still couldn't bring herself to eat chicken soup. Just seeing a carrot made her chest ache. But one morning, sunlight spilled through her kitchen window, and she remembered. Julian had laughed. He'd sat in mud. He'd worn gingerbread on his shirt. And he'd once written, "I'm not crazy, just tired." Maya wiped her tears, tied her curls back, and made soup again, not for Julian, but for the memory of him. She opened a little shop on the corner near the park where his fake birthday once lit up the night. She called it Grumpy Spoon, the spoon of the grump. The front wall was painted a blazing orange, the same color that had once turned Julian's house into a giant citrus. On a hand-painted wooden sign, Maya scribbled her signature touch. "Good soup, just don't throw it at anyone." Inside, the space was cozy and bright. One wall displayed a framed sticky note, Julian's final message. "I'm not crazy, just tired." It hung like a quiet, honest love letter. Neighbors came not just for the soup, but for the story. Maya told it with a beaming smile, about flying shoes, broken water pipes, a cat named Pixel, and a reclusive billionaire who once laughed over burnt cookies. She kept Pixel, the lazy store assistant who now knocked over soup bowls or lounged on the counter, just like Julian once sprawled across his couch with a perpetual frown. Every time Pixel made a mess, Maya sighed. "Julian totally sent you to troll me." One afternoon, as neighborhood kids played in the park, Maya stood outside her shop, holding a steaming bowl of soup, gazing at the sky. She thought about the last question she ever asked Julian. "Are you crazy?" She smiled, a smile that was both soft and aching. Then stuck a new note on her door. "It only takes one question to change a life. Start with soup." And that's where we'll leave their story today. If this touched something quiet in your heart, we'd be grateful if you gave it a like, shared it with someone who needs it, and subscribed for more stories that stay with you long after the last word. Until next time, take care and hold love gently.